Hello, my name's Tony Kreider. In this video, I'll be reviewing 13 years of virtual reality technology education at Elon University. Most of the things I'll describe will be uh, tests that I tried in my own classes. However, I'll also be mentioning things tried by other instructors in their classes. In 2004, in my university physics class, I had my physics majors try building 3D boxes and animations using a program centered around the Python programming language. This was pretty technical, but was a good introduction to 3D, three-dimensional programming. In 2005, during a study abroad class, I had students try 360-degree or panoramic photography of the Mayan landscapes, taking the ruins and importing them into planetarium software so they could see what the skies looked like as the Maya would have seen them 1,000 years ago. In 2005, Megan Squire in the Department of Computing Sciences wrote a white paper about a new technology called Second Life, a virtual world, and she proposed 101 things that educators might do in Second Life to use it in the college classroom. The 101st thing on that list was a desktop planetarium, a planetarium built in the computer in the virtual world, and I decided I was going to build that. I also built a telescope for that planetarium where students could learn how to use the real telescope that we had at Elon University on the roof of the gym. In 2007, Elon University purchased its own Second Life server. Todd Lee in the Department of Mathematics created several interesting mathematical sculptures for us to put it there. It was also a place where students could start to build many of their own projects and showcase those to people around the world. One of the most interesting builds that we had at Elon University Island was the Apollo 11 landscape, where students could see and build parts of the equipment that were left by Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin when they landed on the moon. During the year that An Inconvenient Truth was the common reading at Elon University, students were charged by me in the astronomy class to build things related to it, including this greenhouse gas house, where the items in the house would emit visible green gas proportional to their greenhouse emissions somewhere on Earth. The following year, in 2008, our textbook for the astronomy class was Bad Astronomy, about astronomy misconceptions. At the end of the semester, the author of that book, Phil Plait, visited several of the things that students built to see how they interpreted his various chapters. In 2009, Ken Gaither, over in the iMedia graduate program for communications, uh, built a building and had his students in his class look at how virtual reality might be used for meetings and or communication. And they constructed this virtual classroom. In 2010, the iMedia program offered a virtual environments class taught by Michelle Ferrier. I joined her in teaching that class, and the project that we focused on was building a complement to the Civil Rights Museum in Greensboro, since one student had an internship there. In 2011, I taught the virtual environments class on my own. The students built a reconstruction of the second floor of the PAL building, home of the iMedia Center. This included getting textures that would match the carpet and the chairs and the computers and everything on that floor. That same year, David Neville, in the German program, was developing a train station where students could practice their language skills. He was using a program called Unity, which at the time was quite difficult to learn since there wasn't much supporting documentation, but was something that we would certainly look at in the future. In 2012, I again taught the iMedia class for virtual environments and had students build a recreation of 1800s Manchester. This was a fairly large build and one that had a lot of interesting buildings, but not much detail on the inside of each building. In 2013, Oculus created the hardware that we could finally go inside of all these things that we'd built. It allowed us to sort of see things in 3D by putting a headset on and walking around into the things that have been built by students over the past decade. In 2014, I worked with senior communication student Katie Pullman, who was taking a class with David Copeland, to look at the existing software that existed for the Oculus and to try to categorize what it was like and how the virtual reality today mirrored cinema 100 years ago. In 2015, I worked with graduate student Sam Kale on his iMedia capstone project to create a 3D project that would teach students the phases of the moon. This also included using a leap motion to sense your hands. In 2016, the virtual reality class had much better equipment, but that year we went over to see the latest equipment over in Raleigh, Durham. That was the stuff that would eventually change VR for most everyone today. This, this year in the virtual environments class, students are building a project for Matt Whitstein in the exercise science. This is a simulation of a device used to test the equilibrium of people. Since Elon University doesn't have it, we're building one in virtual reality that we hope will do the same sort of thing. Students are also working on a project for Rachel Force in the psychology department. She's testing students' ability to speak in front of others and to reduce their anxiety in doing so. We'll be building a virtual platform and auditorium where students can practice their speaking skills in front of a fake audience. While Elon University considers how it might use virtual reality, I would strongly recommend against us building fake classrooms for our students. Instead, having students build their own things and or helping instructors to create things for their classes is probably a better use of this technology. That's my review of 13 years of virtual reality technology education at Elon University. If you're interested in a tour or a demonstration in our virtual reality lab, please contact me. That in the spring of 2017, that virtual reality lab is on the third floor of PAL.